Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Ann Menoff. I am a local president for Women's Council for 2024 down in Broward County, South Florida. And I'm joined here today with the 2010 past national president, Deborah Tatum Gilmore. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited to get to know you better. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to give a brief introduction about yourself so we can learn more about you.
Well, since you had to go back so far, it's like you're digging up the prehistoric times. Basically, a little bit about myself. I started real estate. I got a license in 1990. So this is about 34 years as a person in the business of real estate. And part of that, I felt it was necessary to, since I came from another type of profession, to get to know the people in this profession. And a lady asked me to, one of the realtors asked me to join Women's Council. Now, I didn't even join Girl Scouts. I was such a tomboy. I didn't like being with a lot of women. And even when I was nursing, I said, put me on the male unit. So, but I said, okay, I'll go. And I was quite impressed that not only they had realtors in the business profession, that they also had people in financing. They had attorneys there. They had other affiliate representatives from any parts of the housing, residential purchase, buying, or selling. So I was impressed with the demographic of the meeting. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a try. So that started in about 1990. I think it was 90, 91. And from some reason, I went from there to local chapter president, state, and regional director. And I said, well, they wanted someone to run for my region. And so I said, well, I will do it if I have support of the region. And I had to run against another dear friend of mine, but somehow I came out. I had to go 2 times. I had to tell you, I had to go 2 times. We had tough competition there, strong, beautiful competition. And so I said, okay, I'll do it one more time. And that's when I became president in 2010. I have stayed with Women's Council. I looked at Women's Council as part of my business as a business partner because of the network of people you meet, because of the people from all over the country, because of referrals that you do receive from people from everywhere. And the best story I can say, I have a friend of mine that at the time was going to a convention in, I think, San Francisco, and somehow her flight got interrupted and she was either in Arizona or somewhere around, I guess, Vegas, and she called a member and she says, I'm stranded in the airport. Is there any way that I can stay with you? And she says, sure, and she can't pick her up. So you can't get any type of network better than that, and knowing that you have such a stability. And then lastly, I found that Women's Council, there was nothing competitive about it. You could stop and ask anybody that was in the book, how do I get started in commercial real estate? How do I get started investing in real estate? And they'll sit down and they'll just go over it line by line and almost do a coaching job with you to call back and let's see how you're doing. So picking up new ideas for residential real estate, that was always there. And so I found it a good resource, and I always called it my business partner since I been in business.
I love it. I love it. And I love your personality already. I love the we're going to be fast friends. We've only spoken on the phone one time, and now I know it. All right. So, as a past national president of the Women's Council of Realtors, what would you say are some of the major contributions that you made to the organization during your tenure?
I think the major contribution I saw it progressively continue on after I was not president was that I felt we needed to follow the team approach at Women's. I know there are many people before me and many presidents before me, you know, it was my year. And I began to look at it and said, no, it's really the members' year, and you're here to put forth what the members may need to find out they're secure and gaining something from the association with their members' membership. So what I did, I started a team approach, and I started thinking about football teams or baseball teams. You know, they may not all like each other on a football team, but they have one goal, and that is to come together strategically to win their game. And so they do that, whether they like each other or not, they're going to come together. And so I think I put that forth, and we even carry that over into our leadership academy here in the state of Georgia, that, the team approach is a winning approach. And I think I'm seeing more and more leadership books and everything else that they're coming back to that, and that it's just not one person. It takes a group of people to make things to turn over, make plans, and see any progress from them.
So this kind of segues nicely into the next question, which is, how would you describe your leadership style? I mean, if you have the team approach or your consensus builder, how do you think it may be different from some of your predecessors, which I think you lightly touched on earlier?
Mm-hmm. Well, I started out, I'll never forget the first day that I sat with a team with the association executive, our CEO, and they looked down the table and everybody's looking at me like, what is she going to do? So I said a little prayer, and I said, and I put out what I wanted to do. And I had to, one, recognize each one of those individuals, where they were president-elect, if they were at the time treasurer, that's what we had, and then a secretary as part of the leadership team, that each one of us brought to that table expertise. And I wanted them to know that I respected their expertise, I acknowledged it, and I want them to be able to have an experience this year that will help them in the year when it's time for them to come. So knowing that, number one, I think we forget about it. It's just not about you. It's good to say I'm president, but it's more to being president, say I'm president. And that you do respect the people that you work with. You do give them voice to speak. You give them opportunities to go. If somebody needed me in New York and I was already scheduled for California, I called one of the teams. Margot, can you go to New York? Yeah. Or if Beth was close, I said, Beth, can you go up to New York? She said, yeah, I can do it. Let them go, because when it's their time to be president, they may have the same experience in knowing how to work with the people you are with. And it's just not just you. It takes the whole body with you, your whole team, to make things happen. And that includes your governing body, total governing body.
That's awesome. So what types of challenges did you face during your presidency, and how did you address them?
Well, the challenges, one of the first challenges going in, we had something like an uprising at one of our governing board meetings. And I got the feel that the membership was losing faith in their top leadership and how they were organizing from the national level. So what I saw then is that we needed to make that reconnect somehow, and reconnect with the state and local, especially the local, because I really prize the local. That's your grassroots. That's how I came through. I came on a local level. I just didn't walk in the door and say, I'm president. So I really appreciate the work and the effort that's put forth in the local level and their teams. So what I think I did, I told everybody looking at me down the table and said, we're going to take every state president and regional director. If we can do some locals, we'll try. And we'll divide them up evenly. And as you drive to your next appointment for your listing appointment, call one up and say, hello, this is Deborah Gilmore. I'm your president of Women's Council of Realtors. And a lot of them knew, and they just say, oh, I can't believe. Or someone calls, I'm the treasurer, and they just got so excited. They would answer like, what have I done? I said, you haven't done anything, but I'm calling to see how you're doing. And if you have anything that you think we need to do here on a national level, please send me a note. And I like your input, because that's how we're going to grow, if we have your input. And we divided all those individuals up. So I think that brought back a connection, so they're not saying you're way up here in the clouds and you're just looking down. No, we're not down. We're members too. And anything we do for ourselves, we hope it will filter out and be the best for our members all over the country.
That's great. And I love how, making leadership tangible is so important. And it really is so important to your members. Your members have to connect, and be able to, and the fact that you all recognize that, I think is very, very important. So what was your vision for the future of the council then? And have you seen it play out now in terms of influencing current programs, policies, priorities?
I think the influence I have, I love education. And I think we're now working with our PMN courses to bring them up to par. We understand everything evolves. And sometimes you get so busy into the dynamics of what's happening day by day, you forget that some things need to be revised and done, and that's where we are with our PMN. I see it's coming, and the presidents that have come after me have worked very hard to try to keep that designation at the top level. Outside of that, I think being acknowledging that you are president, and just in name, you have to know about the organization you are working with or for. And you have to somehow get that through if you are able to be. I'm the type of person, I want to get into the background of meat. I'm the stage designer or what's hanging outside, putting the clothes together. So I wanted to know how the operation, the wheels turned more than wanting to be president, because I was just nosy. It's what makes it such a good organization. And so if you can get into your strategic plan, you have to know what happened in the years prior, what was their intention, how did they see any progression for the organization. Then you have to look at what your membership is now and where they want to go, so that you can plan better how to make that 1 year meaningful enough to see any progression for subsequent years. So if you're just wanting to be president and people will dote on you, and that's wonderful and good, and you're not thinking about the organization and the members, there's no I in team, and there's no I when you're trying to progress well with your organization and make it move forward. So you have to have knowledge of the past, knowledge of where you want to go, and knowledge, not where you want to go, get some input from where you want to go, so that you can design that plan for the year you're there. And that's how I looked at it.
I love that, because I always feel like you have to, in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you came from.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like
Yeah.
that's a lot of where this podcast, whatever we want to call it today, this interview, it kind of stemmed from, because I feel like we are building on, and the title of it, of building on yesterday, shaping tomorrow, because that is important. You need to know all of the moving parts in order to, kind of make impactful decisions when you're kind of planning for a membership-driven membership organization and driving the needle to make sure that it's successful into the future.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you touched on this before with regard to mentorship, and wanted to, which we know is a big, important part of leadership. So what impact do you believe your personal mentorship had on the council's members, fostering growth and development?
I think if you're in any leadership position, in state, local, and even as a member, you have to have eyes behind your head. It's like working with your children. You say, I see that. I see what you did. So somebody does something that is remarkable, or someone is shy to come forward, you must have the eyes around you to see. So mentorship, I think when I did my president's speech at our lunch and our gala, that it was on membership, how you reach out to someone, because you're not infinite. So therefore you have to replace yourself. And if you're going to replace yourself, that makes the organization grow. If it stops with you because it's, quote, your year, then everything has to start all over again with somebody trying to implement what they missed the year you were in. So mentorship is great. They always tease me all the time, don't let Deborah look too long at you, because she's going to tap you on the shoulder. And so I will do. I have called members, even local, mostly at the local level, and then some on the state, that I see that they're doing something very progressive. And also they are thinkers that think about where we could be and what we can do, and they are active. I will say, I noticed that you did this, or I noticed you did that. Have you thought about running for office? And I'll do it in a heartbeat. So they usually run from me when they see me, or they smile and run real quick, because they know if I'm headed toward them, I see something in them that the organization can use and benefit from, because they may have something to give us. So that's how I've always been. It's just not about me. It's just about the organization that I believed in, and I've been with almost for 30 years or more, that I think is worthy of good leadership and people who are thinkers, strategically thinkers.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
I love it. I love it a lot. So what key lessons do you think that current members can learn from both the successes and the setbacks that you experience? I know you mentioned earlier about having to run multiple times for the position, so when members have experienced certain things, what would you say to them in that capacity?
Well, for me, you don't give up. If you have the encouragement and the support of people that see something in you, you don't give up. If you feel like you have a goal or mission that's going to help the members, you don't give up. I said I went twice, mainly because before me, Becky Hill was dynamic leader, so I could not say anything about her winning. As a matter of fact, when she did win, I went up and gave her a hug and shook her hand, congratulated her. And one of the real past presidents came up. She said, "You actually went up and congrat." I said, "Why not? She won." And I recognize that, her leadership skill. So why not? It's not all about me. And I think she was kind of surprised at the time, but it depends on the situation. If you feel like you have something that you can give, then go for it, and be able to work on that as you're getting to that point. You can't just stand up at the last minute and say, me, me, me. It has to be years and subsequent years that people get to know you, hear you, feel like you have given them something to worthy to work with, either in business or even in leadership. So you have to be working on it consistently and strategically to see that people can see that you really mean something for them and not necessarily for yourself.
That's so true. So looking back over your journey from your local involvement at your local level to national leadership, what key lessons would you tell current members that you learned from your experience, and where have those skills kind of gotten you today in terms of other opportunities within your local realtor association, NAR, things of that nature?
Uh, Starting at local level, um, again, someone saw it in me, something they said that would be great for the organization. Local level is tough. I really feel for the local network presidents. My God, those ladies and gentlemen, they are just really uh, true diehard leaders if they stay. And those who go twice because they are lacking leadership, they need to be given stars. It was tough. It was tough, but never take a seat as a leader without a plan or some type of plan where they can find difference. A local leadership, I found that they were dispensing money, different charity organizations. And if you look at Home Depot, you could go to their website and you see right off who they support. And they get known for that. Remax had it for years, Miracle Network, and they get known for that. That's how you get a name. So what I decided as part of our leadership, when we reach out to the community, get the community involved, and see the realtors involved, I created a 5K, K9 5K. And so we had a 5K run for 10 years. And we were known for that. And when we stopped it, people just were still calling us. But that was a way for us to integrate with the community. It was in a way for us to get more realtors involved that wanted to be members. And you have to think, and I think I did win an award for that we did win 5K. And you have to think a plan of every integral part, from financing to how you gain money to get your organization and network working. You have to sit down. If you're going to go for this, you need to sit down with paper and pen and great thought. And if you're going right now, it's June. I always tell presidents that work so hard to become president, it's all over now. June is it. Because by the time you get to June, you should have melted yourself with the person next coming in as president. One thing I did like is that I took my president-elect with me everywhere. If something happened to me, she knew how to take right in step to go. And that's when you have to release some of your control. Now, we have all different personalities, but I did not want something to happen. Like today, I have to attend a funeral. If I had a meeting that I couldn't call the president, like, listen, I got a funeral today. Can you hold the meeting? Yes, because she's known how to do it. She knows what's going on in national. She knows what's going on in state. So you should have mailed. So by now you're in coaching mode if you're president for the president-elect coming up, to get them ready to get their team together, to have their leadership meetings for the new year. And that's part of your responsibility. If you don't do that, the transition is not going to be smooth. And you may have a president like really knuckling their thumbs trying to figure out what am I going to do. And I think that's part of responsibility. So if you're president now, presidency is over. It's time for you to start grooming that next president. They hate to hear me say that. They worked so hard, they won a whole 12 years. I said, you got it. But you got to start grooming that person. The transition is smooth. And they know what you did, your goals for that you had to not complete for the year you were in. Could they carry that on for the next year with the goals that they have in mind? So you can't do that by saying, here it is at the end of the year. You must have some type of relationship with the president, like next president coming in.
Right. Yeah, because then the continuity just isn't there. So
Yeah.
any sage
Yeah.
words of wisdom? So as we close out, coming to the end here of our questions, any sage words of wisdom, if I knew then what I know now, type of moments or stories would you like to share with members?
Uh, then what I know now. Um, if I had known that just by me being involved, because I'm the type of person they gave me, actually, the first committee they gave me community care. And so that meant we went to muster ministries. I had to organize that, the food and everything, and people there to prepare the meal and also serve it, do the Christmas gifts at Christmas, bring Santa. We had all that to do. So that was lovely for 2 years. And so I got kind of bored and cocky. So I decided, I called the president, the next president that year, and said, well, I'd like to do something special, something different. I've been community care for a couple of years now, and I think I'd try something else. And so she said, well, at the time we had a committee called Ways and Means. That's where um, we now have partners, but we had Ways and Means where you devise ideas how you're going to bring money into the chapter, the time of Chapters Network. So I said, well, Ways and Means, that sounds great. I'll do that. And then I got to thinking, what the heck is Ways and Means? What is that? So I called her back. I said, gee, what is Ways and Means? And she says, oh, well, you're responsible for getting the money for the whole chapter. I said, oh my God, I barely can get a checkbook registered good. And so we did make that happen. But if I thought back then it would have led me today to your podcast, I wouldn't have believed it. I didn't want to public speak. The first speech I gave was in a Marriott hotel, and I opened the draperies, pretending the audience was right there on State Street out there, or Michigan Avenue in Chicago. And I prepared my speech, and I said somebody's going to put a crazy woman in a window, and they think she's going to come through. And I said, no, I just want to make sure I can do this. So I think if I had to think it over, I probably would do the same thing. The only I think position I held was regional director, and I did not want to be regional director. And they didn't have anybody else at the time qualified. But we had a wonderful regional in Savannah, and someone told me, if you want a great meeting, if you feed them, they would come. And we had a low country ball, and people did come. It was a wonderful session. Had good speakers, good education. But I think I would probably do it all over again, knowing me. And I would just moan when I get home and say, okay, Deborah, pick it up. Let's make this happen. Let's do it. Let's get in the game. And I would do it. I would do it again.
I love this. This is your raw authenticity, and also your comedic timing is hilarious. But I do appreciate I do appreciate of what your experiences mean, not only to you at the time, which again, you never know how you impact people. So it's one of these things that my hope is that people listen to this and they're able to kind of resonate with it, and also be able to utilize it in their own networks and in their own experience and their own journeys. Anything else that you would like to share with us before we kind of sign off in that regard, with what you would like to share with members?
I think the last thing I would want to say is that do not be afraid to speak and put forth on paper or call and talk with your representatives, either national, state, or local, about ideas you have about how you would implement them or anything that you think would make not only each member grow in their personal and professional development, but make the organization grow. We have right now, we've gone into a whole leap, and that's our education need to change into AI. And we, some people are still trying to turn a laptop on or a computer on, and now we're doing AI. Pretty soon we're going to have holograms and talking to sellers right beside us, and they're not really there. So it's coming. I've seen that program. And if you know of anything that would help the organization grow, speak up, put it in writing, send an email to somebody and say, or ask to have a talk with them at one of our national meetings. Another thing, go to your national meetings. I didn't get the organization until I went to my first national meeting. And once I sat there, I said, okay, I get it now. I get it. I get this, what this is. All right. And I just said, it's not Girl Scout. This is a wonderful organization. And so is Girl Scout. But I just think you really need to speak up, because as change occur, you need more voices to put in the pot to find out what's going on.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it really, I think that sometimes, again, people feel that leadership is kind of, it's not that it's untouchable, but, it's just, it's like a separate kind of group.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah,
it does
group.
feel,
It's not.
okay, well, I don't know how to tap into that group. And that's why, a lot of, so weirdly, you brought up Becky Hill. So this idea of doing this actually started because I only met Becky Hill in person, and which I know that we've been in rooms before, but again, feeling again, like, just in a different group at President's Circle this year.
Yes.
And she was talking to me. She reminded me so much of Brenda Gabati, who's from my network.
Brenda Gabati. Yeah, I know.
And I said, weirdly, you just remind me of, someone from my network. And she laughed and she thought that was hysterical. But when we were just discussing things and she was sharing stuff, I said, people need to hear this. Like this would be encouraging for members. So that's how this started. I said, would you be interested in recording a Zoom call with me? And she said, I would love it. And I met Joanne Stevens as well, because, they're always together.
Oh, Joanne's great. Yeah.
But that's exactly it. And I do think that it is nice to be able to walk into a national meeting, where a member now can listen to this or watch it and see, wow, I can go up to, Deborah, or I can go up to this that one and say, I relate to you now because of the story you shared. So that's the goal.
Yeah, that is excellent. I appreciate you doing this, Lauren. It's a genius. It's genius. Hope you become #1 in podcasts for leadership. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, 2010 past national president, Deborah Tatum Gilmore. This has been hilarious. This has been a joy. This has been educational and a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person. And again, getting to know you even better, because this is what it's about.
Yes. Yes. Thank you again. I appreciate it. And I enjoyed every bit of it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.